in today's video, I'm redrawing a picture I made in 2019. So I was 13 years old. This is my 5th time redrawing this picture. I like to redraw this picture every May to see how much I've improved. So let's get into the video. Most of you guys have probably seen this picture at some point, but here's a closer look at it. It's a mermaid with a bob who's wearing a graphic tee that I imagine she found in the water or on the shore. And these shirts were really popular when I was younger, and I thought it'd be fun to draw a mermaid wearing it. As you can see, this has gone through very many changes throughout the years and many of different ways of interpreting the drawing. But first I'm going to talk about the pose. I did try something new at first, which was her like swimming forward with a bag, but I decided not to do that because I just wasn't liking it, and I decided to basically just draw last year's pose. But I had the image tucked away while I was drawing it, and I was just sketching out the pose, which I feel like this year turned out a little more flowy and fluid. Something that was kind of funny that I did while I was trying to figure out the pose, I didn't know what I wanted the hands to do, so I just copied my references of the hand that I was thinking of and just pasted it in so I could see how I liked the hand or if I needed to get a new reference. But it just looks so funny. I ended up getting rid of these pretty fast, but it was just so funny to look at because it was this sketch of a mermaid with these super realistic hands, and it was just so weird to look at. For the shirt, I've done a variety of things. I've done just the graphic tee, I've done a t-shirt underneath a seashell bra, I've gotten rid of the t-shirt completely, but this year I wanted to try putting the t-shirt on top of the seashell bra. So she's wearing the t-shirt how you would wear a t-shirt, and I'm gonna try to make the shirt more transparent because often white clothing gets pretty transparent when it's wet. Not all articles of clothing get really transparent, but I imagine this one with what the fabric is, it gets pretty transparent. And for the bra that she's wearing underneath, I made it a strapless bra because I wasn't liking how the straps were looking, so I made it a strapless bra with seaweed holding on the seashells. And something I wanted to try to make sure for this picture when I'm shading the shirt and working on the shirt is to make sure that it doesn't look bad or look like I'm trying to have it be like a sexy thing. Keeping it looking innocent, because that's a little difficult to do when you're making it so you can see her bra. So I tried to render in a way that looks fairly innocent as best as I could. And this year I decided to have her hair part on the side. Last year I had her hair slightly parted, but it was very subtle, and this year I decided to part her hair even more because I thought it would be fun and cute. Okay, something that's kind of fun. I didn't mention this earlier, but this is my 4th time redrawing this on YouTube, which is so weird that I've drawn this 4 times on YouTube. I've redrawn this picture 5 times, but I've drawn this picture 4 times on YouTube. It makes me realize how much of my art has been posted and how much you guys have watched me improve. And it's weird that I've almost had my channel for 3 years. Like, I was 15 when I made my channel and now I'm 18, and it's just really weird to think about. I feel like I haven't had a YouTube channel for that long, but it's been almost 3 years, and that's just so weird. And thinking about how different I am from when I was 15, even more weird if you think how different I am from when I was 13, and how my art has changed and improved. Like, when I have the first picture next to this one I'm making right now, it's so cool how my art has changed because you can just see my improvement jumping from picture to picture. It's just so cool. I'm so glad I've been redrawing this picture for so long, and eventually I'm gonna have like a decade of redrawing this picture, and it's gonna be so cool and fun. I was really worried when I was drawing this picture though that I wasn't gonna be any better than last year because I haven't drawn nearly as much as I used to, which is something I want to try to do again at some point, draw more. But I was really worried that I wasn't gonna improve at all, but I drew it. I feel like it's an improvement, at least in my opinion, even if it is just a subtle improvement. The other one still doesn't look bad, but I still feel like there's an improvement in some way. Like, I feel like this one feels more fluid. But I was worried last year too that there wasn't going to be improvement, and then there was. And I was worried about the year before that because mostly for this year, I already said this, I'm pretty sure. But when you haven't drawn a lot, you get really worried that there is it gonna be an improvement or that your art gonna be worse than last year, which is what I was really worried about, that my art wasn't gonna be any better and it actually got worse. But I feel like it's actually improved still, even though I wasn't drawing as much. But at the same time though, my understanding of shapes still gets better as I get older and I pay more attention to things, and there's things I draw and I'm like, oh, that should be drawn like that. So I'm still improving. My improvement probably would be more significant if I was drawing even more. Like, I'm still drawing every month, but I don't draw as nearly as much as I used to, for sure. Oddly enough, for the hands, I kind of had fun drawing them this time. I think it's because I had the references right there, and there were such good references for the hands that it was pretty easy to just draw them. A random thing I do, I don't know if anyone else does this, I will fully fill in the fingers when I'm sketching on my computer, just because it makes it really easy to get the shape nice, and then I don't have to worry about drawing two straight lines right next to each other. I'm just drawing a really thick line and making sure it's shaped correctly, so flat on the top and rounded on the bottom. And then I just erased the inside and add on some fingernails, which for the hands, when I first got rid of them, I quickly doodled over the hands that were currently there. I don't know if some people would consider that tracing. I don't think it really is, because it was so rough on top of it, and then I moved the hand away to sketch it. And plus, I don't like how the actual hands are proportioned. Like, even though the other ones are realistic, I still feel like it looks weird for some reason. Oh, I forgot to mention this. For the liner, I'm using this textured brush. If I have the link for it, I'll put it in the description. I really like the brush. It has like a bit of texture. I think it's supposed to look like a ballpoint pen, and I really like it. I figured out about this brush because of Rinspare art, and I'll see if I have the link at all still. I'll put it in the description so you could get it too if you use Clip Studio Paint. So I'm gonna move on to the coloring. Tablet is really weird color wise right now. I got a new tablet at some point. The one I was using for a while, at some point my little brother rubbed it with a nail file, so the middle of the screen was really scratched up. But the current tablet I use makes everything really saturated, so it's really hard when I'm coloring because the colors don't actually look like that, and I really love saturated colors, so I have to make the colors so extremely saturated on my screen for them to look good on most screens. So often I have a computer screen behind my tablet because I sit at like a desktop. No, I sit at a PC. I don't know my computer terms, okay? But I sit down and there's a screen there, okay? And then I have my tablet. If I have footage, I'll put it on screen. I don't know if I will or not. No promises. But you're able to make another window in Clip Studio Paint, so you can draw on one window and have another one on another screen, or just have it sit there on your current screen. And this is how I made sure my colors were looking good. So I would just glance up every now and then to make sure everything was looking good. By the way, to do this, you go to the top of your screen, it says window, and in that drop down it says canvases, and in that drop down and it says new window, and when you click on that while you're in your current canvas, it would make a copy of it so that you have two of the exact same canvas. And it will update every time you draw a line. It won't update while you're currently drawing it, but the line will poof on there once you're done drawing it. I was expressing this concern for the colors to my sister, and she's like, oh, just make another screen. I'm like, how do you do that? And she like Googled it for me, and then we figured it out. So I had two screens, which was great because I was really worried about that when making this picture, that the colors were just going to look absolutely horrible because I couldn't see what they actually looked like while I was drawing them or while I was using my colors, which was still a bit difficult, but it was better than what it would have been, which would have been fully shading the picture and then having to fix it later. But for a while when I was shading this picture, I was really worried because I felt like it was looking pretty bad. I was like, is this picture gonna turn out garbage because I can't shade it? And I was so worried because I liked the sketch, I liked the line art, I thought it looked really cute, but I was so worried that how I was coloring it was gonna make it look awful because it was looking bad for quite a while. I felt like for most of this coloring, it looked bad. But then I just kept shading and shading and shading. I'm like, whatever, just shade everything, figure out what's the problem once you shade everything. And I don't know what I did, but then it ended up looking good out of nowhere, and I don't know what happened or what I did, but somehow it ended up looking good, and I don't know. I was so confused. But most of my shading is pretty much the usual shading. I don't know how often I really explain my usual shading. I was trying to be a little more loose with how I shaded it, which I do have to adjust the coloring later and the colors because they kept looking very purple and then it was too blue. So I had to fiddle around with the colors quite a bit. The skin was pretty normal too, shading wise. Got to do what I absolutely love doing, adding blush. Okay, I find it funny. I swear I put blush everywhere, that there's more blush than actual skin tone sometimes. That's what it feels like at times because I put blush on the nose, I put it on the cheeks, I put it on the lips, I put it on the tips of the ears, I put it on her shoulders, I put it on her fingertips. But I absolutely just love adding blush. It's just so fun. And for the eyes, I did my pretty usual eye shading. For her eyes, I just do my base color, a dark gradient at the top, and then I do this add glow circle, semicircle thing at the bottom for eye, and make the lighter color, that add glow, go up the sides of her eye. And then I add on the shadow that goes across the whites of her eye and over the iris to make it look more round. And then I've been adding on this lighter blue highlight on the iris, which I feel like it looks really good. It makes the eyes look super shiny. Like I mentioned for the top earlier, I was really worried about it looking bad or like provocative because you are seeing through her shirt. I tried to make sure to render in a way that seemed very innocent because of the way you render things can really give an effect on how things come across. So I tried to make sure I rendered it in a way that looked innocent. And I feel like it looks innocent and it looks fine, so I feel like it's good. For the tail, I just drew in tons of dots and then I added on another color of dots on every other one. And I think I set it to overlay or add glow or something. And I made sure to add some shadows and highlights to make sure it looked round. I do end up needing to add another shadow on it later though, because it felt like her tail was too far forward and wasn't pushed back or in shadow. So I ended up making her tail darker later. For the background, I just did some gradients from light to dark and added on this water texture on top. All the other years I did add the water texture onto her, but I decided not to do it this year because I felt like it would have been too much. And I just liked the simplicity of it and didn't want the picture to feel overwhelming. For her necklaces and bracelets, last year they were just pearls, but this year I decided to add some different colored beads because I didn't accidentally actually. I filled in every other bead with the shadow color and I was going to erase it to make them look round, but I really liked how it looked. So I decided to color some of the beads and then I decided to add some green beads. And I feel like it just looks so cute and fun. I just absolutely love it. It's just so cute. And I did add a shadow underneath her necklace. I did try to make it look like her necklace was like kind of floating a bit because she's underwater. And this year for the bubbles, I decided to draw each bubble. Last year and the year before that, I did use just a brush. But I decided to draw the bubbles this year because I felt like the other ones didn't blend in well and they were too detailed. So I decided to draw some pretty simplistic bubbles because I felt like it would match better. Which I'm glad I did because it makes it feel the picture is very cohesive style-wise. Because the bubbles felt too detailed last year and the simplistic bubbles really fit in well, so it feels like this entire picture just fits very, very well. But I feel like the picture turned out really, really cute. The final effects really sold the picture, and I did fade out her hair quite a bit at the top to really emphasize how bright it is from the surface. And I just really like this picture. I feel like it turned out so cute. I'm really happy with it and I hope you guys like it too. Well, that's all for this video and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Bye!